Hey guys, Prowl1701 here, and today we're going to talk about The Wheel in Space. We're going to talk about the story, and we're going to talk about the new fan-made animation that has come out recently, which I have seen. Two people, I believe it's Iz Skinner and Steve Skinner, have done a nice 3D fan animation that looks fantastic. I believe these were the same people who did, I believe Iz Skinner also did some of the CGI work for the Celestial Toy Maker to help with the recon of that, which was great, by the way. So they have made this, and I really enjoyed it. I did get to see it. You can check out the trailer for this and the extended trailer for their animation on the YouTube channel Tardis Timegirl. It's called Tardis Timegirl, that's it. And then there's a Patreon with another name, I can't remember, attached to it, that you can become a member of to actually see these episodes. I'll try to remember to put that down in the description. But I have gotten to see these episodes, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's better than most of the other 3D animations. It's definitely better than Web of Fear Episode 3. Trying to say whether it's better or not than Toy Maker gets a little tricky, because the kind of look of the Celestial Toy Maker fits the Celestial Toy Maker well, because it's a very fantasy, surreal story, so I can handle everyone not looking like they're supposed to. But the animation here fits well. First off, the character likenesses for the characters is pretty much spot on. Jamie looks like Jamie. Most of the guest cast look like the guest cast. Like Gemma looks like Gemma. The Commander Who Goes Nuts looks like the Commander Who Goes Nuts. Troughton looks a little odd, but it looks like Troughton. I think Troughton's face is just hard to do, because none of the animations have gotten Troughton's face completely right. I think Macroterra came close, but the nose is a little off. I think Troughton just has a face that's hard to do, just like how some actors' faces don't translate well to action figures. You know, it's hard to make an action figure of certain actors. It just, for some reason, their face just doesn't translate well. But Troughton is definitely Troughton. You can tell it's Troughton. The character movements, for the most part, is really good. Like, I sometimes forget I'm watching a CGI thing because they're moving realistically most of the time. There's a few little quibbles, like when they're going up and down stairs, or if they're falling out of a bed or falling over. And there's a couple of the fight scenes that are a little not completely there, but still really good. Like when two of the taken over astronauts are fighting another astronaut. It's not 100% there, but it's close, and it's still good. It's still better than some of the 2D animations we got, like in the Faceless ones, the parking lot fight that always looks so bad. What really gets me is the character likenesses, and I feel like I'm really in a three-dimensional space. It utilizes the fact it's doing 3D animation really, really well. I found this a very enjoyable watch, to the point to where it's hard to compare it with the 10-minute animation we got from episode 1 that was included with the Macroterra, which I also liked. I love that animation. I wish they would get Sun and Moon Studios back. I would be happy with a Wheel in Space animation either way. I did like that 2D animation that's on the Macroterra, and would have loved to have gotten all of episode 1, or even all of the Wheel in Space in that, because it did look really good. I don't think any of the animations since the Macroterra have looked as good as the Macroterra. I do think this animation, this 3D fan-made animation that the Skinners have done, is very good, to the point to where I would love for the BBC to get a hold of them and be like, hey, let's pay you some money and put this out on DVD and Blu-ray. As far as I'm concerned, they could release this on Blu-ray, and Wheel in Space would be complete for me. And I'll delve more into that in a minute, but if they released this, if they just counted this as the animation for Wheel in Space, the 3D animation in black and white with the 2 surviving episodes, because episodes 3 and 6 still exist, which I also have and got to watch. I did watch the whole serial, not just the animated ones. I do have the Lost in Time box set with episodes 3 and 6 on it, which I believe, it's either Lance or Simon sent me that. I think Simon, might have been Lance. One of them sent me that, which I very much appreciate. I would be fine with that. It would give us a great animation for Wheel in Space, because this one truly is very good. It would also complete Season 5, so they could go ahead and get a standalone release out, so we could start the clock ticking on getting that Season 5 box set out. I like this world. Sometimes the animation actually looks better than the surviving episodes. Some of the special effects while the special effects are done in the style of a 60s production, they don't look out of place, but they do look noticeably better. Like, you watch the end of episode 5, which is animated, and you see Zoe and Jamie out in the spacesuits crossing over to the ship, and you see them floating around, and you see the laser blasting up the asteroids. That actually looks way better in the animation than it does in the actual surviving episode, where it looks a little naffed. And that chuckled me that the CGI version could be easier to watch than the actual surviving episode. It's not that the CGI is doing anything that's really modernizing those scenes, like, say, the Macroterra does, where the Macroterra really takes creative liberties. It's not. It's just slightly touching it up where the asteroids look more like asteroids, and them floating in space doesn't look quite so much like them just on a cheap budget wires. It does a really good job of that, to where when I switched to the live-action episode 6, I was a little let down. And that says a lot for the animation for me. That says a lot that I was that ingrained or engrossed by what was going on in the animation. Again, I cannot praise how much I like the character likenesses. I like most of the body movements a lot. So the camera angles work really good. Like I said, I have little quibbles I could nitpick. I'm not going to do that. Especially since this is a fan-made animation, which for me stands up good enough to be a commercially released product. I would love to get this on DVD. I would love to have someone who is clever and knows how to do these things to put this on a disc, get a DVD case with some artwork printed on it that makes it look like an official release, and mail it to me. I want it. I like it. And then include the 2 surviving episodes as well. I'd love to get that. That would make my day. I would do an unboxing video about that and praise it. Because if the BBC saw this, they need to be like, let's give these people some money and give them some credit. And let's just release this as an official release. And then boom, season 5, ready to go. I would be happy. This is the definitive Wheel in Space for me so far. And circling back to what I said earlier, it makes me appreciate the Wheel in Space more. I don't think the Wheel in Space is a bad story. This is the second time I've seen it. I did watch either last year or the year before. I watched it with the Loose Cannon Recon, not the BritBox Recon, but the Loose Cannon Recon and the 2 surviving episodes. And it was it was okay. The Recon did get annoying after a while, especially reusing the same few shots from other episodes. It was okay. I enjoyed the Wheel in Space. I don't think the Wheel in Space is a bad story. I don't even think it plods along that much. I actually think for 6 parts, the pacing is fine. It's not a story I would want to watch all the time, but I could watch it once a year, once every year and a half, and I enjoy it. I think it's at 4 parts, it might have ran a little too quick. I think it's 6 parts. It's fine. It's got a couple plot holes, like some of the Cybermen sneak in on the balls, but yet the only way they get in later is being carried over by the astronauts. I get a little confused. It would have made more sense if the balls had just had the Cybermats in them. But it seemed like some of the Cybermen were there, but we never see a lot of plot hole. That's very much a why doesn't the Doctor just use the TARDIS to go to Antarctica to check on the pods in Seeds of Doom? Big plot hole. But it's a minor thing. I liked the story. I like the commander kind of slowly going crazy. It's kind of out of nowhere, but I like it. The actor pulls it off. I like both of the main female characters. You have Gemma, and her death really hits. Like when she dies, which is in one of the animated episodes. By the way, that scene is animated really well. When she fights the Cyberman, stuns him for a second, and tries to run, and she gets killed. Really well done. Really well animated. My hat's off to both of the Skinners involved in that. Was it Iz Skinner and Steve Skinner? Both of you. I don't know if they'll ever see this video, but fantastic job. And I felt that loss because I liked this character. She struck me as a really good character. I liked her, so I felt that loss. I felt sorry for some of the astronauts who got killed while they were mind-controlled because they were... I missed that. The Cybermen being able to just mentally and mind-control people. They can't even do that in Modern Who. You know, at least not that easily. They have to do other stuff to mind-control people. They can't just look at them and mind-control them. I want that to come back to where they can just kind of hypnotize them, you know, with a little energy beam. I want that. Bring that back. I hated that Bill died, too. I liked the character of Bill, the one that got hypnotized and had to go sabotage the control room and kind of got electrocuted, which is another thing that's animated really well, because that also happens in an animated episode. I think that's episode 4. That's animated really well. But I liked the character of Bill, because he seemed like a really positive, happy-go-lucky, take things in stride guy. I liked him. I really liked him. The actor did a really good job of endearing me to him. So you felt bad for him, first, when he gets mind-controlled, and second, when he actually gets killed while he's mind-controlled. I felt that loss. There actually were characters who died in this where I was like, oh, even the commander, who was kind of nuts at the end. I do love the scene when he sees the Cyberman. He's just... of course, the Cyberman. I don't know why, but I like that scene. I hate that he dies, but I like that scene. Troughton's performance is fantastic. What we see him do in the 2 surviving episodes is great. I love when he wakes up in episode 3 and he's kind of figuring out what's going on. He's doing a lot of work with his face, which Troughton is so good at, which I love. Like the fact that the doctor, I mean, Jamie just kind of, I'm trying to remember how he just kind of threw the doctor under the bus. Well, the doctor told me to. The doctor will explain everything. The doctor's like, oh, so you told him I did it. Oh, okay, well, thank you for that. I love that. There's a lot of what Troughton's doing there with his face when he's just, which I love. I love. The animation does a really good job of capturing that combined with the voice work of, and I really love, like, when the doctor is talking to them on the television, and it's showing it from their point of view, and we see the doctor on the television, the animation does a really good job of capturing the look of a CRT screen, and everything there. It does it so well. It's all the little things the animation does. This animation actually makes me like The Wheel in Space. That is probably the highest praise I think a Doctor Who fan can give it. It makes me enjoy The Wheel in Space. Whereas before, I didn't think it was necessarily bad. I thought the recon was a pain to get through, but it was okay. But I actually enjoy it. It's not my favorite Cyberman story. It might even still be my least favorite 60s Cyberman story. That being said, the 60s Cybermen is the best decade for Cybermen. Period. I like 80s Cybermen. I like 70s Cybermen, which is really just Revenge of the Cybermen. But I love Revenge of the Cybermen. But I'll say The Wheel in Space is better than almost all of the modern Doctor Who Cybermen stories, except for maybe their very first story, Age of Steel, and maybe World Enough in Time, and maybe Haunting of Villa Diodati. I'd have to really think about that one. I do like that one a lot, but it's not really a traditional Cyberman story either. But The Wheel in Space tops most of modern Who Cyberman stories for me, and I actually, if you asked me how I would rank it, it would rank edging into good. Better than okay, edging into good. Like, okay is here, good is here. It's like right there. It's an enjoyable watch, and I have the animation to thank for that. The animation has made me appreciate this story. And the trailers really don't do it justice. I've seen the regular trailer that's on Tardis Timegirl's YouTube channel, and they also have an extended trailer. It's about 4 minutes long. Doesn't do it justice because they're kind of quick cuts, especially the regular trailer. It's cutting too quick to really settle into it. And even the extended ones, they're really short scenes. But if you actually get to see a whole episode of it, I really wish they would put like maybe one episode of it up so people could see it, like maybe episode 1. And it really gives you a chance to settle into the episode. It flows really well. It flows better in a way that a trailer just can't fully get across. But once you settle in, like the first couple minutes might be a little rough as you're adjusting to the animation. But, I mean, we're talking like less than 5 minutes into it. I was settling in and having a good time. And for me to adjust that quickly to a type of animation that I'm not really familiar with, I think is a testament to how well it's animated. Now, again, I liked the Shapeshifter Studio, not Shapeshifter Studio, the Sun and Moon Studio animation that was on Macroterra. And if we got a Wheel in Space animation in 2D animation like that, I'd be fine with that. Although, again, they need it to be Sun and Moon Studios because none of the animations since Sun and Moon has done as well. But I would be fine with, I would be perfectly happy, actually, not just fine, but happy with the Skinner's animation, their 3D animation, this fan-made animation, as the official animation. As far as I'm concerned, the Wheel in Space is now complete. Like I said, I'd love to have a DVD or Blu-ray copy of this. I enjoy the story. I enjoy the pacing. The guest cast feel like real people. I care about them. I'm invested in them. The ones that die, I feel that loss. The Cybermen feel like a real threat here. I can actually understand what they're saying when they talk. I actually like the Cyberman design. I know this is the only story that uses it, but I like this design. I actually enjoyed it. I'm not too keen on the way they do the fingers. I've never liked that. But other than that, I like the design, and I enjoy the cinematography. The 2 surviving episodes are good. Yeah, The Wheel in Space it's a good time. It's edging into good for me. So I want to give a shout out to Steve Skinner, and say, well done. Well done. Fantastic animation. I am highly impressed. I would love for them to take a stab at, I think they might have actually done a Web of Fear episode 3 animation. Did they? Somebody did one. It might have been them. But I would love to see them take a stab at it. If they have, I haven't seen it. I need to check on that. But I'm willing to bet they could do a Web of Fear episode 3 animation better than the one we got. And I would love to see that, especially if it's to the quality that these animations are. It's going to be a good time. So, the Web of Fear. Now, why am I saying the Web of Fear? The Wheel in Space. What do you think of the story? Have you seen these animations? And what do you think about how Wheel in Space should be animated? Comment down below and let's talk about it. I'm going to try to remember to leave links to everything so you can see it down in the description. My P.O. box will be down there if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review. Links to my Amazon wishlist are down there. Links to my Amazon UK wishlist are down there. Links to my Patreon are down there. If you like what I do and like to support what I do, get early access to videos, extra videos, all that fun stuff. Every Sunday video is a Patreon exclusive. That's why they don't drop on the YouTube channel on Sundays. That's just for my patrons on Patreon. So check that out. I want to give a shout out to Unknown289, Colin Coney, and Sam Venning. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. And most importantly, thank you for watching.